Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 2011. The topic is training, and the title is The Perfect Workout Split, the impact of workout length on training frequency. What we're going to talk about are some common ways in which I structure clients' weekly workouts. What is the emphasis per workout? The perfect workout split is, the term split means, on what days do I train what body parts. And that's different depending on the type of goal that the person has. So I'm going to give some basics that I commonly use, but then I want to get into the discussion of, specifically for muscle growth, how do you structure your training frequency? In regards to fat loss, I feel like it's actually pretty easy, pretty standard way of doing things. There are different options and there are ways you might manipulate it for individual clients. But in general, if somebody is training 3 times a week or less and their goal is fat loss, I would train their full body each workout. So maybe they're training, and I'm just making up stuff to make it sound easy for us to understand in a podcast. But they train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What I'll typically do is... this is there's fun stuff because a bunch of caveats are coming into mind for individual clients. If you are training on non-consecutive days, I typically would do full body and do it relatively aggressive. If I'm training on consecutive days, say Monday, Tuesday, then Thursday. On Monday, I'll train my full body, but I might emphasize lower body. On Tuesday, I'll train the full body, but I'd emphasize upper body. So I would do like a 70-30 kind of emphasis. 70% one day, 30% the next day, and vice versa. And then on the Thursday, the standalone day, the full body, 50-50. So I will modify this a bit, but training the full body burns the most amount of calories. And typically when you're training the whole body, you're not going to produce so much tissue damage and connective damage to the joints that you're moving that day that you then can't come back and train them within 24 to 48 hours. Now, if I sat there and just did, say legs for a full hour, 2 hours, then my legs are going to be absolutely trashed. They're going to be destroyed, and they might not be ready for many days, if not a whole week. But if I do that, then what am I going to do the next day? So leg workouts can burn a lot of calories. But then if my legs are too beat up the next day to train, what am I going to do? Maybe I'll do cardio, or maybe I'll just do a little bit of arms. It's going to be a lowered amount of caloric usage on that day because you overshot the first day. So maybe the first day you get 100% of what's possible. The next day you only get 50% because how beat up you are. So you average those two together, and you get 75% across both days. Whereas if I train the whole body, I can beat up my body, do a lot of movements, burn a lot of calories, create some muscle damage, and I get 100% of what's possible, but I only beat them up so much so that my body can actually come back in the next 24 hours or 48 hours and do it again. So I get 100% and then another 100%, rather than overshooting one day, so I have to reduce the intensity of the next day, and then the net gain overall is actually less. So a general way of approaching fat loss training would be if you're training 3 times a week or less, we're going to do the whole body. If you're training 4 times a week or more, we're going to split the body into exclusively lower body and exclusively upper body. Because if you're training that frequent, you're going to need more recovery between the muscle groups due to the demand that is placed on your recovery system as a whole, like sleep, protein, all those things. So our body can only recover from so much at one time. That can be improved over time, but in any one instance, there's only so much our body, a recovery capacity is only so high. So if I'm going to be training on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, by Thursday, if I do whole body, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to be absolutely destroyed by Thursday. I won't be able to do very much, or I'd likely be injured and feel like crap. So when you train more frequently, you do have to separate the body parts out, so that way there's proper recovery time, given the fact that your recovery capacity is lessened because you're now recovering from more rather than less. I don't know if that made sense, but I hope it made sense. So if your goal is fat loss and you're training 3 times a week or less, full body every workout. If you're training 4 times a week or more, I would split upper body and lower body. Now for powerlifting and kind of functional training, which would be CrossFit, first responder, tactical athletes, all of those people, the military, all of that. I tend to split it up to where the first workout is squat focused, but we do squat and deadlift accessories. So my squat is going to be mostly focused on quads and glutes, but I'll still do some hamstring work that day after squats. But I don't want a lot of lower back contractional work on that day. So I'm not going to do like GHD raises or 45-degree hyperextension raises. I'm not going to do things that require my lower back to do anything other than just bracing the position, because I need my lower back to be fresh later in the week for deadlifts. If I do contractile efforts, it's going to be overly fatigued, and then I'm going to be wrecked trying to deadlift later in the week. So workout 1 is squats with both squat and deadlift accessories, but no lower back like spinal erection. You don't want the spinal erectors to have contractions and releases, like movements like that. Then workout 2 is bench press, and you're going to do the main work, the big heavy bulk of the work for the week. Then you're going to have upper body accessories, which will include upper back, lats, traps, biceps, triceps, chest, shoulders, so all of the upper body. Workout 3 is going to be deadlift, and again, we're going to do squat and deadlift accessories, so I will do some quad work on that day. Maybe I'll then do like back contractional work if I think that's helpful for the person, or I'll at least like maximally challenge the lower back on that day. And then workout 4 would be, if you're a powerlifter, we're going to do bench accessory work. If you're a functional person or not a powerlifter, you're going to do overhead work. This is also the same type of structure I use for strongmen if they're training 4 times a week. So squat, bench, deadlift, and then overhead press. Now for them, I'll actually switch the bench and the overhead work. So overhead pressing is way more important in strongman than bench press, without any doubts. So we will do squat, overhead press, deadlift, and then press accessories. We might not even bench. We sometimes do close grip bench to build up triceps. There are definitely some benefits to it, but it's deprioritized. As similarly as overhead press is deprioritized for powerlifters, bench press is deprioritized for strongmen. So that gives you an idea of how to break up those body parts. Now, if you only train 3 times a week, it's not my preference, but it definitely can still work. What I would do is I would do a squat-focused day, but really reduce lower back stress on that day. So everything's going to be very uprated torso. Or they're going to do actually like a leg press. And I know, God forbid, a strongman does leg press. But we would do stuff that does not tax the lower back. We would kill the legs, but we'll not kill the lower back. Second day, all upper body, tons of pressing, lots of maybe carrying as well, but just tons of pressing work. And then on the third day, we would do deadlifts, and I might include extra back work. So they're going to have at least 2 days of upper back work because it's so important for strongmen. We'll do deadlifts, and then on that day, you do destroy the lower back, whatever you got to do in training. But that's how I would structure like a 3-day structure for strongmen or even functional athletes, anything like that. Powerlifters, I would not recommend training 3 days a week. Try to get the 4th day in, even if it's just push-ups and weird upper body work at home. I would suggest getting you're not going to be able to create enough damage in one upper body workout a week to really carry the whole week. It's just not optimal. So adding in an extra day where you do some push-ups and pull-ups at home would be great. And that's enough to at least bridge the gap of a full week of rest between your upper body work. Now, that covers fat loss, that covers powerlifting, strongmen, functional athletes, tactical athletes, first responders, all that. In my mind, where things can get a little more complex is with muscle growth or muscle shaping. So this would be, women's bikini, figure, physique, men's physique, classic physique, bodybuilding, all wellness, women's wellness. Forgot to include you in there. Sorry about that. There's 7,000 categories, so I apologize to anybody I left out. But you understand. So when you're training people for muscle growth and shaping, there's a lot more nuances in my mind and how I approach programming for clients, because Everyone is so different. When you power lift, you're specifically judged on squat, bench, and deadlift. It's a very known entity. Whereas in aesthetic sports, we know what you're judged off of. Meaning, okay, I want to probably have a V-taper or an X-frame, depending on what category you're in. So shoulder width is definitely important. Now, obviously, bikini, no. But everyone else, in wellness, you still want to have defined shoulders. And a lot of bikini athletes still need to develop the muscle and shape the muscle. But my point is that shoulders are highly coveted in those categories. Glutes, thighs. Like, you have an idea of what you need to be building. For each category, there is a standard. For each individual, they can be vastly different on how they match that category. Somebody can be lower body dominant, somebody can be upper body dominant, somebody can have huge, awesome biceps but totally flat triceps, somebody can have great triceps but no biceps and maybe no shoulders. And you're like, oh crap, okay. So the variance of what somebody could be quote unquote strong at in an aesthetic way versus their weakness is can be vastly different. So therefore, the way in which you approach their programming, it can be and needs to be vastly different as well. When you look at bodybuilding, one of the things that comes up with clients and a lot of the trainers I work with is they ask questions and they're confused a little bit about. When you look at a lot of high-end professionals, like literal professionals or really high-level, like national-level competitors in these categories, the more common training frequency is once per week. So they'll train their legs once a week. Now, females, you're going to get down into much different frequency in the sense of you might train legs 2, 3, 4 times a week. 2 of them are going to be very dominant days. 2 are going to be kind of more like light touch, maybe more shaping type movements, that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different for females in the sense that we know your legs are going to be highly frequency in training. Whereas in men, and this is, I'm definitely doing stereotypical male versus female stuff, but, follow along with understanding that there's a grain of salt difference in everybody. And, you might find a female who already has lower body dominant and they need to train their upper body. And I've trained women who are like that. I've trained men who they had awesome legs, and we only train their legs once a week, but train their upper body like 4 times a week. But sometimes they overtrain their body, and that's why it's not growing. So then you got to drop it down to 2 or 3 times a week. There's insane nuances. So I'm more so looking at this as high level. Is when you look at pros, they tend to train body parts less often. Let's go with that as a categorical kind of label. They're going to train their body parts less often. And then when you're trying to get to that level, or you just lift recreationally to be jacked and ripped and look great, you may not train that often. You might train more often. So maybe your programming calls for every muscle group to be trained twice a week. But you look at professionals and you're like, well, they're only training their muscle groups once a week. What's the difference? Why is that? The reason why is workout length. So hence the title, The Perfect Workout Split, the impact of workout length on training frequency. They can work out longer. So I've trained people to pro cards, both drug tested and non-tested. I've trained high-level national competitors. That's how we got to the pro cards. I've trained high-level competitors in these categories. I've trained people who've never done them, and they had to do their first show ever. So I've been fortunate and very lucky to have worked with everyone on the spectrum of aesthetic competitions. I've worked with people in every single category. So bikini, wellness, figure, physique, men's physique, classic physique, men's bodybuilding, you name it, every category that I'm aware that exists. I've worked with competitive athletes in each category. So what we see is when somebody is able to structure their life around competition, meaning it is number one priority, and for some, they get paid to do this. Some will have sponsorships, other people will do online coaching, and they have their coaching set up in a way in which it is intensive work in the beginning, middle, or end of the day, and then that frees up a good 3-4 hour chunk for them to do training. Commonly, the higher level the person is, the more the competition and training aspects are prioritized in their life. So therefore, the more time they have set aside for them. They may have a 4-hour window in their day where they are going to eat to make sure they have the exact right food at the exact right time before their training. They have the proper window, maybe get to the gym or to digest the food, maybe get their mindset right. Whatever they do, there's a little bit preparation time planned. They have the workout, then they have the post-workout nutrition. And again, that is all set. It's all scheduled. It is extremely controlled. It is like a 3-4 hour chunk, and that's the only thing they're focusing on for those 4 hours. For them, they're going to train body parts less frequent because they can train it to a greater intensity. If you have 2.5, 3 hours to train your legs, you are going to absolutely annihilate the tissue. Just destroy the tissue. You therefore then cannot train those muscles again for quite a while. It might be 5, 6, 7 days until those tissues are fully recovered, given the fact that you're training other body parts and you're using recovery capacity for other things as well. So you might be 5, 6, 7 days before you can train your legs again. And that makes sense. So their frequency is going to be less if their workout time is more. The more workout time you have, the less frequent the muscles need to be trained because you're able to create a greater degree of damage per workout. The less workout time you have, the more you have other priorities in life that get in the way, the less workout time you have, it is going to, no matter how intensely you train, you're going to reduce the degree of muscle tissue damage in the workouts. There's only so much you can do in 40 to 60 minutes compared to 120 minutes, right? Even if you bust your butt, you're still going to run out of time. You're still going to run out of just the ability to do more. So the way in which you work to structure the workout, maybe you structure in a lot of supersets to get a lot of volume, but since you have a lot of volume, you don't have a lot of shear force damage. If you go slow in the workouts, you focus on shear force damage, you don't get a lot of volume in, and then all of a sudden it's not enough volume to last for the full week. You tear up the muscle, but since it's only an hour of tearing it up, it's ready in 3 or 4 days, rather than 2 hours of tearing it up. There is a trade-off whenever length of workout is shortened between shear force and pump, between intensity and volume. You have a lower total threshold to work with. Therefore, it's helpful to understand where you are in regards to where the people you're looking at are. When I used to watch videos and read magazines, yes, magazines, when I was looking at like pro workouts and stuff, when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, and unfortunately, sorry, mom and dad, when I got into college, I prioritized workouts over everything. So if a class wasn't attendance-based, I just went and worked out, or I ate food and slept. Thank God, and knock on wood, I did well in college and got good grades. But it was my main priority. So I could spend 2 hours in the gym, 2.5 hours in the gym, and I loved it. It was my thing. I loved it. It was amazing. And it made sense then to do the traditional bro split, chest on Monday, back on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, shoulders on Thursday, arms on Friday. Total typical bro split. That made sense back then. Now, I was always neurotic about, am I really going to grow? I wanted to always beat the crap out of myself faster. So I've tried a lot of crazy frequencies and things. But that made more sense when I had 2.5 hours to work out. Now, as in the last couple years with COVID and craziness and everything going on in life, my workout time got shortened quite a bit. I was still able to work out consistent. I've never missed more than 7 consecutive days in 25 years. 25 years of working out. I've never taken longer than a week off, and I only took a week off twice. Both were related to illness. One was a physical illness, one was a mental illness. I was actually dealing with anxiety and depression, and just had a hard time getting motivated to work out during that week. But I missed 2 weeks. I know, it drives me nuts. Can't stand it. But I've missed 7 days in a row, twice. So how much better could I have been? Oh gosh. So, but in 25 years, I've been pretty consistent. Now, the workouts used to be 2.5 hours. Maybe they dropped down now to not now because I've been able to make some changes and get longer workouts in, but they've dropped down as low as maybe 30 to 60 minutes for 4 times a week. And that's very low for me, by the way. I know, woe is me and pity me. But I've worked with clients where, they've gone through seasons of life where I can do twice a week, maybe an hour, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, great, let's do it. Because I'll take whatever the hell we can get, and we'll beat it up, and we'll have fun with that. And then they get through that season, maybe they can add a 3rd time. Maybe they can add a 4th time. So you go through seasons of life. There are changes when you work at this stuff long enough. But anytime the length goes down, your frequency of body parts needs to go up. The shorter workouts I have, the more often I need to train a muscle group. The longer workouts I have, the less often I need to train a muscle group. So when you're trying to figure out the perfect workout split, it can look really variable. When I have clients that work out 2 times a week, train the whole body every time. We might, maybe one time we'll start with lower body, next time we'll start with upper body. So workout 1 might be, I'm just going to make this simple. There's going to be more complexity to it, but for simple sake, is we might do start with squats, and then we superset a chest press and a cable row. And then the next workout, we're going to start with bench press, maybe heavy barbell bent over rows, and then we do leg press or hack squat or something that's like a machine leg, so it's not as aggressive as like squats were. So we'll switch around like that and have which muscle group takes the initial focus of the workout, which is going to be the more compound, basic, heavy movement, and which are going to be more like machines that are assisted and reduced intensity, so that way we can actually do those at the end of the workout. But we'll play around with that. But it's typically full body if it's twice a week. And then again, if the target is muscle growth and shaping, if it's 3 times a week, I'll tend to do upper, lower, upper. If their legs are good and their legs aren't the main focus. If their legs are the main focus, we do the opposite. It's lower, upper, lower. So it depends, female versus male or the way their body's structured. Maybe they have a dominant upper body, male or female. So we're going to do legs more often. If they have a dominant lower body, we're going to do upper body more often. If they're kind of 50-50, then we might do a program where legs are prioritized and the next month the upper body is prioritized. We'll switch back and forth. If they can train 4 times a week, if lower body is a main focus, we'll do upper, lower, upper, lower. If upper body is the main focus, we'll do pull, push, legs, and then the upper body is 1 unit on the 4th day. So there's a little bit of variance, but what you'll see here is the frequency is higher than what you would typically see with most pro videos, like a day in the life, or you watch a pro workout. They might spend an entire workout on shoulders. And I have not said that yet. But again, that's because their workout length is so long that they can beat the crap out of the shoulders and not need to touch them again for a week. That means the next workout, they're a little more free in what they can choose. Whereas if you only have 60 minutes to work out, you spend the whole time on shoulders, and you only have 4 workouts a week. You only have 3 workouts a week, for the rest of the week, to get your whole damn rest of your body in. It's just not going to work. You're not going to get enough in. So you need to train less shoulders per workout, do them more often, so you can get other body parts in more often as well. So that's kind of the frequency we have to go with. If you can train 5 times a week, your upper body first priority is in the first workout. Then your lower body is second workout. The third workout is upper body second priority. 4th workout is upper body everything else. And then the 5th workout is lower body again. That's a similar way to how I'm structuring my training right now. So I'm actually training for muscle growth. I want to get bigger and leaner. Of course, who doesn't? So the way I'm training this year so far, and I've played around with it a little bit, but right now my current split is Mondays are shoulders and arms. I would like to have my shoulders and arms bigger. I just think it'll look better in videos, so that way I can draw in more views with the initial thumbnail and when people first start looking at videos on Instagram and YouTube. I want to have people stay around for the information. I think the information is good, at least I hope so. I believe that you think so, because you're already this far into a podcast, so hopefully this is valuable. But The only way to get somebody to stay around to understand the information is valuable is to look good. And I understand that, and I want to make sure I can look decent enough that people will listen to what I'm saying. So I do shoulders and arms first. Then Tuesday is legs. Wednesday is chest and back. I'll do major chest movements with one or two kind of back things to get a quick little damage on the back, but my main focus is chest. So 70% chest, 30% back. Fourth workout, I flip-flop. 70% back, 30% chest. I like this because I want my chest and my back to grow. And I find that if I do my chest at the full workout 3, if it was just chest, it's ready before next week. So if I train to my chest on Wednesday, by like Sunday, my chest is ready again because I only have about an hour to work out. I can maybe squeeze things around, push it around, maybe get an hour and a half, but it's not quite enough damage to last for a full week. Also, just the truth of the matter, and this might be true for you, is I have some old injuries that I'm having to work around. So I tore the connective tissue, the bicep insertion at the elbow. I tore that years ago. I was at a gym and they had a 300-pound weight stack for a cable seated row, and I wanted to see if I could do it. Dumb. So I tore that thing. I tore my left bicep doing stones. Anybody who's strongman knows that that's a risk. So I tore that. That stinks. Then I broke my collarbone 3 times when I was younger outside of lifting weights. Had to get metal plates put in for my collarbone. When dealing with that, I ended up tearing my right pec a little bit when I was younger. So I've fixed that and repaired that, but I'm also always very careful around that. So when I do chest, the other component is I also have short upper arm bones, meaning that my presses are very tricep dominant, even when I try to have best technique, of what I can do for my chest. So I often have to do chest flies first to prioritize my growth of my chest. So then when I go into my presses, my chest dies before my triceps die. So it's actually a chest-focused exercise, not a tricep exercise. So think about if you trained your grip and then went and did deadlifts. You would fail deadlifts because your grip died, not because your deadlift muscles died. So therefore, deadlifts would maximally grow your grip, but they wouldn't maximally grow the other muscles. So that's what happens with me with chest presses, is it maximally grows my triceps, not my chest. So I have to pre-exhaust my chest, then go into presses, but that means that the weight load I use in my presses is lighter, so I don't get as much systemic damage, as much connective tissue damage. And although I do damage my chest, due to the pre-exhaust, the load of intensity into the CNS isn't as high. The amount of muscle tissue damage is significant, but it's lessened. So therefore, I actually am able to train more frequently to grow my chest, which is great because I can grow my chest faster, and it's been helping a lot. It's made a huge difference. However, that also means then that I need to train my chest more frequently. So all of that is layered in to why I don't want to just train my chest every Wednesday, because it's ready sooner. It's ready within 4 or 5 days, not 7. But if I train my chest on back-to-back days, I can create enough damage to last until the next week. And the same thing is true for my back. Due to the bicep tears, I can't do really heavy specific movements for back because my biceps would be at risk. So therefore, I have to be more careful in my selection and focus more on quality and muscle contractions, focus more on the volume, not shear force damage. So therefore, again, it recovers faster than a full week. So if I train it on back-to-back days, I can collectively create enough damage to last for the next week. So that is why I train my chest and back on back-to-back days, but I don't want to train my chest first on both days because my back gets secondary treatment and only gets worked when I'm exhausted, and vice versa. So that's why I flip it each day. That was a lot of weird, specific situational knowledge for just me, so I apologize. But I want you to understand how nuanced and weird this stuff can get, and this is the way I think for all of my clients. I will analyze everything down to the little nitty-gritty details like this because I want the best for them. If they're going to go into the gym and bust their butt, if they're going to spend the time, the money, and the effort eating to have everything correct, they're going to spend the money for me coaching them, I'm damn sure going to make everything as perfect as we can get it. So that's my workouts 3 and 4, chest and back flip-flopped. And then workout 5 is legs. And then workout 6 is optional. Sometimes I get it in, sometimes I don't, depending on what we're doing over the weekends. If I do core, like a little bit of ab training for pulling my abdominal wall inwards. I'll do some calves, maybe extra calves because I do train those during the week. Or I'll do some extra chest and back because I want them to grow. So that is my current structure. And if you hear in there an overall theme that I'm looking at whenever I create my perfect workout split and how I would do it with clients, how I would encourage you to do it, is given how much time I have and how intense I'm able to train, when does the muscle feel ready again? So if you want to train your legs, how much time do you have? How intensely can you train them? But the overriding question is, when do they feel ready again? If you read in a book and it says you're supposed to train your muscles twice a week, and you train your legs on Monday, and then come Thursday, you're like, holy freaking crap, they're still very sore. Everything hurts when I train them. I'm not really able to make great weight progressions on that second day. Or if I do push weight progressions on the second day, then I go into the next week. The first workout of that week is trash because I'm still overwhelmingly fatigued from last week. Then you're training it too often. Stretch the days out in between. However, if you train your legs every Monday, and by Friday, they're kind of feeling fine. You wait till the weekend, you go in Monday, you crush the workout again. It's a great workout. You're able to make great progress. You're able to make great progress every week. But maybe growth has plateaued a little bit, or it seems a little slow, or other muscles seem to be growing faster than your legs. When you look at photos, you're like, damn, they're just not changing. I'm going into the gym every week and I'm crushing it, but I just don't see a lot of change. What could be happening is they're ready to go in 4 days, but you're waiting 7. So it's just an inefficient use of time. You're not maximizing the recovery capacity and the training frequency that you could be using. So that's what we want to look at, is when we think about the muscle groups of the body that we want to grow, that we want to prioritize. Given how much time I have and how intense I'm able to train, when do they feel ready again? I know that's a very general theme, a general question, but if you haven't thought of it, that's a good question to ask. And if you have thought of it and you don't know what the hell the answer is, try to train them more frequent. But if workout progress is stalled and you notice, man, I'm so beat up, I'm so tired, I just can't make progress every time I go to the gym, then it's probably too frequent and you want to back it off. You want to back it off until you can make progress each time you work out, but you're also seeing growth and adaptation and change. So maybe you do it every week, and then you're like, well, maybe I can do it every 6 days, and that goes well. Awesome. Maybe try every 5 days, and that goes well. Awesome. One of the other things to realize is you don't always have to do the same damn thing on every Monday. So some of my clients will do push, pull, legs, push, and then next week is pull, legs, push, pull. Then the next week is legs, pull, push, legs. So we just use a 3-day repeat on a 4-day cycle, and that works great for them. So there's a lot of nuances, a lot of fun ways to set it up when it comes to muscle growth. And I just want you to recognize that if you see somebody doing it differently than you do, one consideration could be is how much time do they have? If they have time to spend an extra amount of time in the gym, if their workout length is up, if it's higher, then their frequency is going to be lower, and vice versa. Awesome. Well, if you're looking for training information, we have a lot of free information on the website. You can check out our live monthly programming service, which is a new program is written every month for each category of that service. You get a new program every 4 weeks. You can write in the group document to write in any questions, and I answer them every week. And that service is $100 a month. So you get great brand new programming every 4 weeks, and you get Q&A, like you get to ask me any questions. Then we also have our one-on-one coaching where I write literally everything specific for you, which is the way I recommend doing it because it's going to get you the best outcome, the best results. But that service is a little more expensive. So it's a little bit of a trade-off in specificity of information and cost because it's a trade-off of time for me. The more time I give to it, the more I have to charge so I can cover my bills. That's the idea. So if you have any questions, if you need anything, there is free stuff on the website you don't have to pay a dime for. And that will be great to get you started, getting you some great programming. Like live monthly programming, we have free full month examples for bodybuilding, for powerlifting, for female shape development. A lot of good stuff on there. So check that out. If you need anything, you can always message me on the homepage, the bottom of the homepage. There's a contact form. You can shoot me any message you want at any time, and I'll get back to you. Okay. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. The more people we share it with, the more people can help. That's the whole goal of the podcast, just help as many people as we can. So if you share it, thank you. And then hopefully they'll thank you as well. If you like the podcast, you can also consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. And if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.